Hey, welcome back to the Untap Open League. This is going to be a semifinals match featuring Blue Black and Abzan Midrange. I'm Taylor. With me in the booth is Clayton.
Hello. Nice to be back.
So let's go over the two decks in this matchup. We have Rasmus or Mussy on Blue Black control, which both players seem to think is favored. Going through his deck, uh, what do you think about it in the matchup?
Um, I think main deck Scarab God is going to be really hard for Katie to deal with on Abzan control. Um, the four main deck Fatal Push have a lot of targets between all of Katie's early threats and will go a long way in carrying Rasmus into the late game where Dig Through Time, Torrential Gearhawk, Scarab God will reign supreme. Also, three main deck copies of Languish will do a lot of work in alleviating that early pressure.
How about on the sideboard? Do you see anything that immediately screams to you that he's got to bring it in?
I love the Gonti. I think that's going to be really good in the matchup. It deals with anything on the ground, of which there are a lot of big dumb idiots that Gonti can block and trade with. And then getting a card that 2 for 1 is just going to create a lot of value and stop a lot of pressure. Additionally, I like Cletus. Cletus is very good against creature decks, backed up by removal. That's been pretty standard of Cletus throughout his entire standard career and continues to be the same in his Frontier career. I actually like Gifted Aetherborn as well, just because of the number of big dumb ground threats, and it stops those very well.
Another card that yeah, you just mentioned it. I was going to say another card I like is Gifted Aetherborn, but it didn't register with me what you said until I was about to say it. Okay, so moving on to Muzi's deck, because I agree completely with what you said with the blue-black game plan. What do you see on a Muzi's side that you like?
um, to deal with just general late game stuff, Shaper's Sanctuary can provide a bit of extra cards just to try and outcard them. Abzan Charm works in the same way, can also deal with a big threat. Uh, Notably Cletus and Scarab God, it deals with that very well. Maybe Infinite Obliteration, just because you want to take out all of your fatal pushes and you just need something else to bring in, because Transgress the Mind will also do a lot of work. But other than that, I don't really see too much to help her out. She has a
So,
much smaller selection of, I think, less powerful options overall.
so main board, I do like that she's running Ruin Raider and Scrap Heap Scroungers. Obviously, she'd want a few more copies of those, but I think both those are pretty good against this blue-black control deck as long as they can dodge the removal immediately, as well as the two vehicles, the Smuggler's Copters and the Heart of Kirin. I think those are
Yes,
going
I
to be
think those
good
go
to
a long
dodge
way.
board
Yeah.
wipes.
They dodge Languish most notably, and that's very important because the sweepers are going to deal with a lot of the threats that Katie is able to put out.
I think the Gideons might come into play here too. Like that's going to be pretty hard for the blue-black deck to remove with just a few Vraska's Contempt.
Yeah, the Vraska's Contempts are going to be stretched a little thin just because there are so many ground threats that you have to kill them or you die. Um, so we very well could see a Resolve Gideon run away with the game.
All right, now I'm going to check to see if the game's up. Let me know if you see it anywhere. Ooh, I'm having that scrolling issue.
I see it. Both players are in the game.
Okay, yeah, I found it. All right, and Rasmus or Mussy will be on the play as he's the higher seed. Katie's the 8 seed, he's the 5 seed.
Ooh, that's a rough opener from Katie so far. I just got a mulligan that. No white source, no turn 2 play, no turn 1 play.
Yeah, I think you just have to ship that. Gideon and both seed Rhinos would be so good, but with no way to play them, I don't think you can risk it. It's also kind of a slow hand, which you want to get the pressure on
Yeah,
as early as possible against this blue-black deck.
you want to at least force them to interact in the early game. If
Right.
they just get to develop their first 3 turns, their first 3 lands, no trouble. You're in trouble.
From Rasmus's side, I'm not super thrilled with that either.
No, that's also very slow and is liable to just take too much early damage, and sure, Languish will catch you up, but then the follow-up will just kill you. There's no way to um, interact at all in the early game. It's just liable to die to an aggressive draw, especially if it's backed up by a vehicle.
I could see Rasmus keeping this hand. It's not the worst
I
thing in
can
the world, but
No,
I
it's
think
not
I'm
the
shipping
worst.
that.
I think I am too. It just it seems a little too risky with not enough payoff.
Seems like he's in the tank over this keep. It is something worth considering, so.
Oh yeah, it's an important decision and I think it's a tough decision, but ultimately I think you were right with your instinct of shipping it.
So something I think that's worth noting, if Katie can take this game one, I think that she might be favored for the rest of the match, just being on the play two more times,
Yeah.
as well as maybe getting that mental edge of winning one of the pre-board games, because I think that Rasmus thinks that he's pretty far ahead in the sideboard games. Okay, so he's going over her list, making sure that Languish is as good as it needs to be. But as
The only thing
discussed,
it misses are the vehicles in Siege Rhino. But even still,
well, and the Gideons, that's a lot of threats.
ooh, that's I'm not sure that this hand is much better.
Okay, they're both gonna mulligan.
Well, that's good for Katie because her hand does a whole lot of nothing. Because she has a spicy main deck copy of Treasure Cruise, but 5 lands to go with it is not exciting. Also, another awkward hand from Rasmus. Turn 3 disallow is nice.
I think you can keep this one though. You can
Yeah,
play
it's
almost all
keepable
those
with
cards.
Scry. Yeah, it's keepable, but it's a little awkward.
Yeah, definitely better than Katie's.
Katie is going for the keep. I can respect that.
She better fetch early. If she
Oh,
like her only
she
plan's
has
got to
three
be to
fetches.
delve. That's gonna be tricky with the one fast land in hand, as well as all the other fast lands in her deck.
Yeah,
But
but she does have 3 fetches in hand, so that goes a long way. But she has no early pressure, which is what she really needs to steal a game.
so something worth noting, she now has gotten the treasure cruise out of the way, so her Ruin Raider can't draw it and deal 8 damage to her. Of course, this is a matchup where you can afford that sometimes, but
Oh yeah, I don't think the damage from Ruin Raider is going to be super relevant in this matchup.
okay, so she bottomed. He kept on top, she bottomed. You really got to favor him at this point.
Yeah,
Okay, interesting. He's playing out the Drowned Catacomb. I think I would have fetched for the Sunken Hollow to start off the game.
yeah.
Just get that
To make
tap lane
sure
out of
on
the
turn
way.
3 you can double blue or double black. Oh, what a draw by Katie.
Yeah, that's exactly what she needed. It's going to put on some pressure early on. Of course, she's going to be able to drop the Liliana plus on the Sylvan Advocate to blanket for a little bit. But it's going to force some action out of Rasmus's
Yeah,
hand.
that's really all you need from Katie's side is just to force some action, make things a little more awkward for Rasmus, and hopefully your Treasure Cruise can just put away the game, or at least get you in a spot where you have a fighting chance.
So he drew the opt here. That's going to be pretty good for him to be able to look for more answers. Or another land, actually, is probably what I'd be looking
He
for.
did know about the opt. That's probably why it didn't matter which land he played first. He wanted to keep that, actually.
Oh, you're right, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to imagine we're going to see the fast land come in here, but as we were discussing, if she can get these fetch lands out of the way, she'll be able to get that
Oh,
treasure
what
cruise
another
down
draw.
early. But yeah, Katie's just had some really good draws. Going to force the Liliana down on his turn 3, which I guess she won't be able to resolve the Gideon necessarily, but
No, he'll have disallow back up by then. But it's still, again, forcing the action.
this is really all you can ask for from her side.
Yeah, maybe a 3-drop instead of Gideon, but I mean, can't complain too much. You drew 2 spells after keeping a 5 land opening 6.
Yeah, maybe we can see a Ruin Raider come down and still get the trigger from the attack, even if it doesn't deal damage.
I think Ruin Raider's probably her best draw.
And then if she gets Ruin Raider down, that's gonna force some action out of his hand so that she'll be able to play the Gideon.
That's a threat that Rasmus has to deal with. You can't let the Abzan deck get up on cards on you because that's how they win. You need to be up on cards on them.
Alright, we're going to see a fetch and probably an opt here. Yep.
Yeah, use your mana well.
Do you think he's just looking for a land at this point, or do you think he's looking for more
I'm
stuff?
just digging for lands.
Okay. I agree
You
with
want to
that.
be able to cast Vraska's Contempt, you want to be able to cast future spells. I mean, I suppose if you see something maybe like a Fatal Push.
What are the chances here that you think he just holds up Disallow, fearing like a bigger creature?
It is only 2 damage at this point. But then, right now, Katie's not going to cast anything. So then you just waste your whole turn. So I think the risk of wasting the whole turn is a little too high for my liking when I have something I can actively play.
Maybe if he draws a Fatal Push or a Grasp of Darkness.
Yeah,
we can see that
if I
build up.
if I have something else to do with my mana, then I think leaving up Disallow is perfectly reasonable. But if I don't have anything else to do, I'm playing Liliana every time.
So I'm going to ask you something that I've been asking a lot of the other commentators. How do you feel about Disallow in the deck as opposed to something like Dissipate that exiles cards whenever it counters it to get rid of Emrakul's and stuff like that?
I think it depends on what you expect from the metagame. If you expect Graveyard Matters, then Dissipate. If you expect more things, perhaps like a Marvel, then Disallow, where you want to counter things that aren't necessarily spells.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty much what everybody's saying. Do you know how to private message?
Metagame call.
Hmm. Do you know how to private message on V3? Because I am not very...
I've only spectated on V3 a number of times, and then I've played one match.
Yeah, I'm in the same position. Okay, so V3 doesn't even have it.
I'm not sure what the question is, though.
So I think he's just trying to update us on what his scry is.
Oh.
But, I mean, we'll figure it out.
That seems almost a little excessive. We don't need perfect information.
Okay. So what did he say? The top of card is a dig through time. So I'm assuming he's going to bottom that with just by telling us that he wanted us to know what it was. Otherwise we would just see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he will bottom it. Of course, dig through time is going to be one of the key cards in this matchup to be able to get card advantage.
Anyway.
Okay. So it didn't even matter. Dig will be so good in this matchup, though. Just
it will be,
to get the card advantage.
It's pretty awkward. Land is good, though.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed.
But with nothing to do, yeah, I'm casting Liliana, and he agrees.
Gonna see the plus on Sylvan Advocate. Gonna completely turn it off for the time being. Although she does have enough lands to probably hit 6 on curve if it survives.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I don't know if she'll be able to pressure Liliana enough.
Yeah.
She might just ultimate. This is one of my favorite things about this blue-black deck. Just the fact that Liliana can just keep ticking up and ultimate pretty much the entire time, or like on curve
Well,
rather.
it's definitely a threat that Katie needs to deal with. And right now, she doesn't have a very good way of doing that because this Gideon's probably not going to resolve.
So she has 2 cards in her graveyard. She's still quite a ways away from the resolving the treasure cruise. So we'll probably just see a pass here.
Second disallow is pretty good.
Yeah, he's got everything he needs. It's going to be hard for her to come back into this game.
Because the hope was at least that Gideon, while it gets countered, it does pave the way for resolving treasure cruise. But now, that's just not going to happen. She needs another threat.
A Wingmate Rock is a threat, and she will be able to trigger raid.
Yes,
But
but
gonna get
unfortunately,
countered.
the second disallow. Yeah.
If she can somehow get that out there, though, it's going to be pretty nice to make him 2
It's
for
going
1.
to be very hard without a languish for Rasmus to deal with it. And it's going to check Liliana quite nicely.
So I think it's worth noting that this treasure cruise is her only blue card, and it's nice that she has the blue mana already to play it whenever she needs to.
Right, she also had 3 fetches, all of which I believe could go get a blue mana source.
I'm not sure if
Except
she's
for
running
Floating
Prairie
Storm?
Stream, but if she is, then yes, that's true.
Looking at her list, I do not see any copies of Prairie Stream, so the Windswept Heath would not have been able to do it, but the 2 Flooded Strands would have.
Okay, so obviously this Gideon's going to get countered. You just can't let that resolve from the control side. But if you're Katie, which card are you going to throw out there next to try to bait out counters? Or are you just going to go for it, hoping that he doesn't have it on the mull to 6?
With 4 cards in my graveyard and 5 cards in or 5 lands, maybe Treasure Cruise, hope to find a 1-drop. I think that's probably the best bet. Meanwhile, unfortunately for Rasmus, he did not find a land. However, Grasp of Darkness is also good. In
Yeah.
case Katie doesn't have anything to play, then... And yeah, I think because we drew Warden, I think we go Treasure Cruise.
So
We attack first, though.
he pretty much has everything he needs. He's got 2 removal spells, a counter spell, some draw spells. Liliana to hold down that Sylvan Advocate for the time being.
And yep, Katie's going to combat first.
So this is definitely going to signal a raid card, but having 2 raid cards is going to be nice. Maybe it's going to scare him into killing, or no, it probably won't make him kill it because they let her attack, but you know.
Yeah. But this is going to get countered.
So he's actually thinking about letting this resolve. That's kind of dangerous from my point of view.
I don't think you can do that. And yeah, he's going to counter it.
Yeah, that's smart.
And then... if he doesn't grasp main phase... Well, no, because grasp will still kill it with the Liliana plus. So yeah, Liliana's going to ult, and I think that's going to be game.
Yeah, I don't think Abzan has a way to get back from that. And we're even seeing another land, so he could even dig through time, I think, if he needed to.
5, yeah, he can dig through time and grasp.
Yep.
And yeah, he's going to grasp now. And that should be game. I don't believe Katie has any main deck ways to deal with Liliana.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And Rasmus is chilling at 19, so there's no pressure. There's no way to squeeze a win out just by killing things, or killing Rasmus before their ult does anything.
So as I stated in the pregame, they both think that this blue-black deck is heavily favored, and it really does seem like it is.
And this game's a pretty good example of why, I think. Without early pressure, Abzan has no way to grind it out the late game.
I do have to wonder, though, how that game would have gone if she would have gone like Warden, Smuggler's Copter, Anafinza, Gideon, something like that.
For finding a 3-drop. I think missing the 3-drop was the biggest trouble in that game because she wasn't able to pressure Liliana as a result or force Rasmus to do something that wasn't hold up disallow.
I think this is one of the dangers of playing this Abzan deck is it's so important to curve out. And if you do curve out, it's one of the best decks in my opinion. Just like how we saw here, any stumble puts you so far behind.
However, it is worth noting that without Liliana, I don't think Rasmus would be in the best spot.
That's also true that Sylvan Advocate would have got in for a lot of damage at the very least
Or
if it would have just not have been killed and then left open for Gideon to resolve.
even just that though, but with this Treasure Cruise resolving, now Katie is up on cards. And she's going to play out a couple of vehicles that can get in for a lot of damage. Maybe she does have a way to pull this out with the vehicles.
It's going to be rough with the dig through time and the Vraska's Contempt.
Right.
But I mean, it is flying threats.
From her point of view, she has a way out. Oh, she's going to go with Scrap Heap instead. I don't agree with that. Because Scrap Heap just gets mugged up by all the zombies on the ground.
Maybe she's just trying to bait out a counter spell.
At this point, I don't think you can beat a counter spell. And if I were in Rasmus's seat, I would have countered the Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, I think that's the correct line of play. But you never know what she's thinking about. But if she could have resolved that Heart of Kieran and then would have resolved 2 creatures, she would have been getting in for, I mean, at least 3. Damage. But yeah, up to 7 points.
Yeah, with a loop.
Which is a 3-turn clock, which I think would beat out the Liliana, actually.
I believe so, because I believe Rasmus only gets 2 swings. And the first swing is only for 4, and the second swing is for 8. So that's 12 damage?
Yeah, so she could have done it theoretically had she gone with that route. But I think this is probably going to close the game. And even still, I think that she still couldn't have done it just because of Vraska's Contempt. And that would require him to like not hit any more removal anyway.
Right. She was, given that we knew Rasmus's hand, she was pretty far out of it. But her line of play with double vehicle flying over could have done it.
So something else worth noting, if she can somehow level up that Warden of the First Tree, she can stall for quite a long time with the counters and lifelink, assuming it doesn't get removed.
And notably, it does have trample.
Right,
as well.
That too. But those zombies will grow exponentially, so eventually they will outsize the Warden.
Well, Warden can continue activating the final ability.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but the fact that he's going to go 2, then 4, then he's going to get 8, just doubles each time.
And Warden is also very slow.
Yeah.
Notably, this dig through time wasn't spectacular. A land and an opt is not great.
Drawing another opt.
And immediately alting.
So he's going to be able to cast every card in his hand, which he's probably happy about. Of course, he probably wants more answers. And opt is not really what you need.
No, it's... I mean, it does provide a little bit of extra card selection, but it's not great in this spot, where you just want to make sure the board is clear and that your zombies can win. I mean, he doesn't need much at this point to win. He just needs to make sure the flyers are off the board. Right now, it looks like Rasmus is just trying to figure out how to make an emblem.
I'm pretty sure that you can just hit W and type for what you need, and I'll have it. That's what I was doing last night for the clues from Thraber Inspector in our match. I'm not sure if they'll have emblems though, but it did look like they had other cards.
If I'm in Katie's spot at this point, I almost want to save time and just get to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't have a feasible way to win this. So Mussy has his hand revealed to 3 people. I just noticed. That means she can see his hand. Oh, to
Oh no,
NASCAR
he
as well.
revealed it to NASCAR.
Okay,
Yeah.
just checking because I made that mistake last night.
Well, it was less you made that mistake and more you forgot that you still had it revealed, and that we neither of us knew that if you have it revealed, it will continue to reveal.
Right. So as long as he
Looks like
didn't
he's just
forget to play
using.
a land, I think he'll be in good shape this turn, even with just
Yeah.
ulting. But maybe he took too long and forgot something like that. But we'll see.
Looks like he's gonna opt now.
Interesting. Is there a reason that you'd want to opt now?
Hmm. Not sure. I don't. I don't think so.
Maybe if he draws a tap land, he can play it. Maybe that's what his thinking is.
I don't think he has any tap lands though, because he has two basics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, he has Drowned Catacomb, Polluted Delta, Sunken Hollow as his dual lands, and all of those at this point are untapped.
Okay, so this is kind of a reason to opt now. He's able to have a fatal push, play it now, and still have the Vraska's Contempt to kill the Crude Copter. But
I don't think
we'll
you need
probably
to
just
fatal
still
push
see that on
now.
main phase too. So, do you want a Vraska's Contempt that scrap heaps Grounder so it doesn't keep recurring? Or do you just want to save that for like a vehicle or something?
I'm more concerned about vehicles. I don't care about Scrounger because I have infinite zombies, and zombies match up very well against Scrounger.
Yeah. As Ricady only has limited creatures in the graveyard and only so much mana.
I mean, Dromoka's Command is a good card, but I don't think any of it matters in the face of Emblem.
Yeah, and the fact that Liliana's emblem just gets out of hand so fast anyway. Really one of the best emblems in the format, if not the best.
It definitely provides the most inevitability, and it's one of the most reasonable to get to.
So it looks like she's going to attack with a Scrounger as well.
I mean, you might as well. It's not going to do much else.
Yeah.
It slows down zombie production a little bit. At this point, I think if I'm Katie, I scoop here. There's really no point in playing anymore.
Maybe she's on that Warden plan, because she can still play a land and level it up twice. Okay, she's going to fight.
Well, at least this turn, her scrap heap can, at least for now, scrap heap can get through the zombies. It's big enough to do so, but Vraska's Contempt is going to clean that right up.
I guess she's going to make him play it out, work for it. With no time limit, she has nothing to lose, I guess.
He's going to take the damage.
I think that's smart. You can
Yeah.
survive a few hits from this, and just the faster you can close out the game, the better.
It's not like you're low enough where top deck Siege Rhino gets you. 15 is perfectly reasonable. And yeah, he's going to Contempt. I would Contempt Warden, because it's the only thing that gets big enough to not care about zombies for a couple turns.
We could also see the opt.
But looks like he's going for Contempt. Or he's going for Field of Ruin into Opt.
Huh.
Based on basics, that doesn't really do much.
Yeah, I don't really know what he was going for with that play.
And I don't really know why he would want a basic. This just seems like I'm not really sure what this play accomplishes.
Hmm. Maybe it's thinning his deck for the opt now by a very marginal amount.
Not really sure what that accomplishes though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of any reason. Maybe he's trying to slow roll this, make it as painful as he can for Katie.
I that just seems like I don't know. Like I don't even if I'm winning, I don't really want to drag it out. I've ulted, I've done my thing. I did my cool thing. I made some zombies.
And I think if you're on
Game
the
over.
blue-black side, you really just want to like end the games as quickly as possible, just in case they keep going long, just to avoid mental fatigue.
Yeah.
Drawing
Anyway,
another
I
land.
found a land, which isn't again not great.
Right, we're gonna see an Essence Scatter. That's probably gonna be pretty good here.
Swinging on in with the zombie. Probably gonna see end step warden get upgraded.
Which then we might see the Vraska's Contempt.
That's where I would put it. Well,
Although he
the other
could
issue
just...
though
Hmm?
is that Heart of Quran is now active, so I think he has to deal with that first. Because eventually he'll have enough zombies where he can deal with an arbitrarily large warden.
Yeah. So... He's calling her to stop. Maybe he's thinking about the Vraska's Contempt.
Oh, he thought he dragged the land into play, but didn't work out. So he's putting land into play first and then going over
Yeah,
to
I
end
had that
step.
problem last night too with my collected company, where I tried to get a creature out of it, and it put it to the top of the deck. I think there might be some weird spots on the board.
And yep, three zombies. He has a way to deal with the Heart of Quran. It's going to take a little while for Warden to get arbitrarily large. Another Warden? It's hard to have two arbitrarily large Wardens. That's a lot of mana. Also, she forgot to level it.
Yeah.
So I think that's game. Yeah, she's had enough.
You're a few seconds ahead of me on the board. As you're speaking, it's
Oh,
still lagging
really?
behind for me.
That's strange. Huh, I've never heard of untap lagging before.
So, just gonna remind him, no sideboard.
Yep. So yeah, hopefully we can scoop him up and just get him right quick into game two, where Katie, excuse me, will be on the play.
Scoop him, shuffle him, move on. So Katie should be advantaged here on the play, I think. I'm pretty sure this
Yeah.
is one of those matchups where being on the draw as Abzan is going to be really bad.
In this game, for example, it would have allowed her to resolve the Gideon
Yeah.
because when uh, Rasmus had tapped out for Liliana, that would have been Katie's turn four following that up instead of Katie's turn three.
So I was under the impression that Rasmus had played on this a lot.
Yeah, I I thought he would have. I know before my match yesterday, I spent 20 minutes or like 10 minutes in a solo game just looking where all the icons were and whatnot, figuring out what all of my available commands were.
This is a pretty nice upgrade from the previous version of Untapped, though.
Yeah, it is. It's a very nice upgrade.
Still missing some features because it's pretty new, but it's nice. So we didn't get to see Katie's hand, but she did mulligan.
Very quickly too. I I like Rasmus's hand. It's great. It has everything I want. Early interaction.
Yeah, it has early
Ooh.
interaction for the creatures and then non creature interaction as well with a negate.
Negate's not spectacular in the matchup, but packed with all the early removal, it's a fine card to have here.
It does hit Smuggler's Copter and Gideon's though.
Yeah, it's reasonable, but not spectacular. Meanwhile, on Katie's 6, we're seeing a rough hand, but she can cast 3 of her cards, although one of them in this matchup does actual nothing. Yeah, I think Fatal Push has no targets, which is pretty rough, so she might as well have a 5-card hand. But it's a reasonable keep. Warden is strong if she can ever find a second land.
Yeah, but I do think you just have to get rid of it.
She's keeping, so
So she's kept two pretty questionable hands to me. Maybe she's not confident in Abzan's ability to mold a 5.
that could be it. She is only playing 23 lands.
Well, that's kind of light for having a 5 drop.
It is just one 5-drop. And she doesn't have too many 4s. She has 6 of those.
I remember in my standard Abzan deck, I ran 26, I believe, for the 2 Wingmate Rock, as well as getting 6 lands for Sylvan Advocate.
Is this after Elspeth?
Yeah, after Elspeth in the
Okay.
4-color heyday.
But she never didn't have it. Found her second land.
Probably going to see a Smuggler's Copter here.
Yep.
Although I'm tempted to just get in for 3. Force the
I like
removal out of
developing
him.
my Smuggler's Copter. Because it's looking like I'm not going to have much to do on turn 3.
Yeah. So her play's going to work out for her.
Yep. Fatal Push takes care of the Warden. But again, I think Rasmus is just set up. He just needs to find lands at this point, with Dig Through Time and Disallow added to the hand.
And of course, we'll also have an answer for this Muller's Copter with a Fatal Push and Grasp of Darkness. Well, although Grasp of Darkness isn't hitting it this turn.
Well, it could. Oh no, Flooded Strand can't get swamped. Never mind. I'm thinking of late game once he already has 2 basics.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has the answer to Smuggler's Copter. And then we'll have a 3rd land, double black and double blue. And I believe that's going to be game.
Kind of early to call it, but I agree. I don't see a way that she gets out of this. As I said, on
Actually-
curve, this Abzan deck can seem unbeatable, but if they stumble at all...
And she's stumbling here, missed her 3rd land drop. I like waiting to fetch until you've drawn your land, just to maximize your chance of drawing a land on this turn, because you do really want to hit a couple more land drops as a blue-black player.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Unfortunately, he didn't find it. Would have been nice to get rewarded for making that small, correct decision, but can't win them all.
So I imagine we're just going to see a land and then a pass. Hold up
There's-
a disallow as well as an opt and grasp.
And negate, he has it all.
Yeah.
And if you find something for a reason to use grasp, he has opt. Or a reason to use negate, he has opt. So that's really nice that he has either a 1 play on 3 mana or a 2 mana play and a 1 mana play. Katie unfortunately missed lands, so I think that's going to spell her doom if she can't find lands quickly.
It's so rough to call the game this early, but this blue-black deck is just... It's so streamlined now.
Yeah, and we're going to see the pump. I think we're going to see grasp and opt. Opt first.
Sure, no reason not to. Get more information before you grasp.
Even if you find a fatal push, I think you're still grasping here just to use all of your mana.
Yeah,
Because if you find a land on your next turn, you want to have disallow plus fatal push.
definitely.
Looks like he scribed to the bottom. Torrential Gearhulk is good, but not finding a fourth land is actually pretty rough, even if he does have all the answers.
So how many cards does he have in his graveyard? He's gonna have 4.
And then Grasp will be 5.
So he can dig. So am I lagging or did he grasp?
He grasped.
Okay.
He found an Opt off the top, which is actually pretty neat. He can cast Opt and then have 6 land. Well, no, he doesn't have double blue anymore. He needs triple. That's rough. I was gonna say you could cast Opt and it will still be the same amount of mana to cast Dig. But he can't do both because he doesn't have triple blue.
I'm almost tempted to go for it just because I think finding that 4th land might be worth the risk of
I mean, he
missing
can dig
out.
as it is right now,
Yeah, that's true.
and I would have preferred to see him dig there, just because he wants to hit land drops on his turn.
So she
This
does
way,
with
he's not
Thalia.
able to play the land that he finds, and Katie drew a Thalia and continues to have no plays.
So this is gonna work out for him. It's pretty conservative, but I guess that's what you want to be doing in the blue-black deck. You want to have as much information as possible, all your outs. So it looks like Katie's also lagging.
Yeah, I still think, as far ahead as Rasmus is, I think you just want to hit your land drops on time. So I think you want to dig main phase and just find 2 lands,
Yeah, I agree with you.
and then play one of them, and then you have Opt. But I can respect leaving Disallow and Negate up. That's also fine.
So she's gonna pass. We're gonna see the Addictive Time at the end of turn, I'm assuming. Probably get
And I
2
think
lands.
Yeah, if there are 2 lands in the pile of 7, I'm taking 2 lands. With my hand as stacked as it is, I see no reason to do anything different.
You know,
I just want to cast.
one thing about this blue-black deck compared to control decks of Frontiers Pass, you really don't have a ton of decisions to make. As opposed to like those 4-color decks where you have to sequence your lands, you have to like think
Right.
about, do I want to play Counterspell or do I want to play Crackling Doom? Stuff like that. But this blue-black deck really gives you like as many options
And
as you need.
Katie's seen enough. Dig was good enough for her. Even with Rasmus stumbling on lands.
Yeah, I can't blame her. Okay, so let's look at the blue-black deck's sideboard right now. Like
Yep.
we said, coming in, Gonti, Gifted Aetherborns. I could even see Kalidas. Maybe
Yeah,
Disdainful
against
Stroke.
creature decks. Disdainful Stroke is questionable, like we were talking about earlier, actually, when we were going over Katie's mana curve. She doesn't actually have too many targets. It's 4 Siege Rhino, 2 Gideon, a Wingmate Rock, and the cards coming in from the sideboard, because Rasmus does have access to this, none of them get hit by Disdainful Stroke.
So I think the bigger question of what is he bringing in? What is he taking out? Probably going to take out the Languish. I could see him taking out Opt.
I would take out Negate. That's my first cut.
He does have 3 Vraska's Contempt for her 4 Planeswalkers.
And I think with Disallow, Vraska's Contempt, as you said, and then additional creatures coming in, I think he has enough ways to deal with Planeswalkers.
Alright, from Katie's side, probably just going to see Transgress and Shaper Sanctuary. Maybe Abzan Charm.
Well, she has 3 Fatal Pushes, so it's got to go. So that's 3 cards.
Dromoka's Command is not great.
Yeah,
She's got to be aware
fine.
of the creatures coming in from the sideboard, though.
Even still, if I feel like keeping removal spells in to deal with the small amount of creatures coming in, I just don't think that's enough. I think you take out 3 Fatal Push, you bring in 2 Transgress, the Shaper Sanctuary, and then you take out some number of Dromoka's Command for the Abzan Charm and maybe the Infinite Obliteration.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would do as well.
Because don't see Fatal Push and Jamoka's Command having very much impact. And at least Abzan Charm, when you don't have a creature to kill, can draw 2 cards.
Alright, so Katie's opening hand is 2 lands, Sylvan Advocate, Gideon, both Gideons, 3 and 4, and Anafinza.
Unfortunately, those lands are basic plains and basic forest, which makes her casting her cards on in a reasonable time frame is pretty rough.
You know, if I'm her, I'm really tempted to keep this because any fetch land you draw is going to allow you to play Anafinza or Gideon.
Right.
Most of her other lands will also allow that. The only way she can really get punished is if she draws a forest specifically.
Right. Well, I would definitely want to draw black mana. Black mana is, I think, my top priority in this hand.
I think best case scenario, she gets Concealed Courtyard.
Yeah. Because then that also allows her to cast both of her double white spells. It's a tough hand, though. Because if it doesn't get there, then you're just dead.
Yeah. But with what we saw her keep the previous 2 games, I gotta imagine she's gonna keep this one.
Looks like Rasmus is still thinking about his sideboard. Or is he finished?
I can't tell. I think he's still thinking about it. He's a player that likes to take his time. Not everybody can play a best of 5 match in 70 minutes, even with breaks in between.
Easy peasy. But I do like that she did bring in Transgress at least. So she's got that going for her.
Right. Okay, so it looks like he's finally decided on what to sideboard.
And what's interesting actually about version 3 is we can see how many cards came in. So we can see that Katie, for example, brought in 5 cards, and that Rasmus brought in 4.
So what Katie brought in was 1 Shapers, 2 Transgress, a Spyglass, and an Infinite Obliteration, and no Abzan Charm. So that Spyglass can hit lands, it can hit Kalidas, it can hit Scarab God, Liliana.
I wouldn't be thrilled about hitting Kalidas, because the important part there is the exiling making zombies, and it doesn't stop.
And so she took out all the Dramoka's Command, a Fatal Push, and Wingmate Rock.
Really? She didn't bring out... She took out the commands before she took out Fatal Push.
Yep. And what Rasmus put in was 2 Kalidas, 1 Gonti, 1 Gifted Aetherborn, and he took out 1 Liliana, 2 Languish, and an Essence Scatter. So neither player did what we thought they were going to do. Let's see if it works out.
His opening hand, I think it's decent enough on the draw. Turn 2 interaction, plus plenty of lands, plus a turn 4 kill anything. I think I like it.
Yeah, as control, I'm not too disappointed to see a lot of lands.
Right. And he has 2 removal spells to deal with, 1 to deal with any early game threat, and 1 that deals with actual anything. I really hope we see Gonti get cast, though. He's one of my favorite cards.
Yeah, that card's so good against Abzan specifically, too. Being able to kill any of the creatures in combat, and just getting card advantage.
Looks like Rasmus has decided to keep his hand. And Katie kept hers.
As long as she draws a land, I think she's going to be favored.
Disallow, though, goes a long way in helping Rasmus stay in the game.
Very small thing, but I think I want to play the Forest turn 1 in case I draw that Concealed Courtyard.
She found her Sorcerer's Spyglass, so at least she has something else to do if she doesn't find another land.
Not the best play in the world, but you could name Polluted Delta with the Spyglass. But of course, we're probably going to see the Advocate come down.
Yeah, we're going to see Advocate come down now. Looks like she thought about Spyglass for a little bit though. There was a delay in her playing her card.
What do you think she specifically brought the Spyglass in for? Scarab God? Liliana?
One or the other, whichever one Rasmus happens to have at the time. Especially because Liliana's negative really has no effect in this deck since there aren't many creatures. It's just going to plus a bunch of times, which doesn't do a whole lot until it ultimates, which gives you a little bit of extra time. So you don't mind if Liliana's already on the battlefield for a couple turns.
So he's going to have Grasp of Darkness ready this turn. If I'm her, if I draw a land, I want to sandbag the land to try to bait the removal on my Advocate.
Right.
Okay, drawing a Smuggler's Copter, not really what she needs.
Again, at least it's something to do.
And he just took it.
Yeah, I would take it too. There's no reason not to. There's a reasonable chance she goes land and Offensive, and that's a much...
So looking at his hand, do you think there's a chance she names Polluted Delta, or do you think she's just going to try to name Liliana or something like that?
I think he has enough other lands that naming Polluted Delta doesn't do too much. So I would just name Liliana. So yeah, I would just name Liliana or Scarab God, whichever one she's more scared of, and yep, that's what she's gonna go with.
So why do you think she played the Spyglass instead of the Smuggler's Copter?
I think because it's about to be Rasmus's turn 3, where we could see Liliana come down. So she wanted to get that before it did anything, is probably her rationale there. And yeah, we're going to see Grass take care of Advocate and leave Katie with nothing. Essence Scatter is a pretty good draw here. It allows you to be more flexible with your counter spells.
Yeah. And what I thought was going to be a pretty good hand for Katie, she missed on lands. Might see a 3-0 sweep here.
I think we are. She missed again.
Yeah.
Raider Bob is good, but not when you can't cast him.
Talking about Rob? I just gotta imagine this is resolving.
Yeah, I don't think you care from Rasmus's side.
You know, he doesn't have a way to end the game, though.
No. But I think I play Search, and I think I'm fine with Essence Scatter. Or do you think that's too risky?
I think it's too risky. I'm going to hold up Disallow and Vraska's Contempt for this turn in case he plays Planeswalker.
He's getting a little aggressive, though.
I guess he has a Contempt backup.
Shambling Vent is gotta be like the most feel-bad land at this point.
Yeah. It was okay on turn 3.
Yeah.
On turn... This is turn 5 now. This is not what you want to see.
5. Yeah. And now we're going to see Search probably take the game over when it's backed up by Disallow, Essence Scatter, and Contempt.
And you know, this is one of those reasons I like to play more lands than fewer lands, because it's always easier to do more with your mana than it is to not have enough mana.
Right.
You always have mana sinks, you have stuff like Smuggler's Copter to get rid of your extra lands.
Yeah. Especially the way her deck is constructed with a large pile of 4-drops, a 5-drop.
Yeah.
And a mana sink and Warden of the first tree. Yeah, I would definitely be playing 24 lands in this deck.
24?
At least 24. Possibly 25, but I am more aggressive, so I would think about it. And Search for Azcanta found a Torrential Gearhulk.
He's pretty set.
He's got it all.
Of course, it will take him a while to start closing out the game, but once he does play his Gearhulk or whatever he needs to play,
Well, he gets to curve right into that on turn 6.
yeah.
He hasn't missed a land drop yet, and he has a land in hand. Plus, he has only 2 cards in the graveyard for Search, so it'll be a while before that flips.
So if I'm Mussy, I'm just disallowing this.
Yeah,
I don't even want to
there's
get
no
involved
reason
with
why.
that. Okay, he's
No,
letting it resolve.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Yeah, now she's going to get in with a Smuggler's Copter. Or he's going to waste his Restless Contempt on the Copter if she doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like letting that resolve.
Uh, Having a little bit of confusion here.
He can, um, yeah, he can Wrath his Contempt before Gideon actually becomes a creature that can crew.
I guess I don't want to play around with that. It's kind of risky on his part. Now it also kind of throws off his curve a little bit. Maybe he's just looking to play Vraska's Contempt, Gear Hulk, Vraska's Contempt next turn as well. Seems more
Sorry
fancy
about
and less practical than I'd want to be with a blue-black deck.
I mean, I guess it saves his counterspell for another threat and puts the Contempt in the graveyard Gearhulk, but I almost like having the counterspell in the graveyard for Gearhulk better.
Yeah, I think I agree with that actually.
I don't see how Katie comes back from this game. Sure, she has a lot of cards in hand, but she's never playing 2 cards in a turn, which is what you really need to try and turn the corner. Or at least what she'll need to try and turn the corner.
So as you stated, with having the counterspell in the graveyard instead, now she's gonna have to let the Gideon or Anafenza resolve, and probably gonna use the contempt on that as well. As I'd rather just like not even have to play that game at all, because then he's gonna have to do like the whole crew thing again with Gideon if it's Anafenza.
Well, he
Just will
can take
crew.
a hit because he has 6 lands now, so he can take a hit, um, or even force a crew. For example, if he plays Gideon ally, then all the creatures will be tapped, and then Gearhulk can kill the Gideon ally. But in this case, it would be Gideon of the Trials. Contempt deals with Smuggler's Copter, and then Torrential Gearhulk kills Gideon.
So he's gonna have 5 cards in the yard. So he will be able to play Disallow and Dig Through Time here if that's what he chooses to do, and then have
I would
Gearhulk
rather just get
dig.
the threat on board. Get my Gearhulk on board, win the game.
I'm willing to bet that he plays Disallow Dig this turn, with how slowly he's played this match so far.
I'd be tempted to Essence Scatter here,
Yeah, it
and I
looks
think
like we
that's
will
what he's
see
gonna go
that.
for. Yeah, it's just a clean answer for a conditional card in my hand that I can use, and then we're gonna see Dig. I would leave Contempt, or we're not gonna see Dig. I don't know about that one.
Okay, if you don't dig there, I don't see why you just don't Gearhulk there.
Looks like he wants to flip his Azcanta.
That's fair, I guess.
I'd almost rather have the Scry at this point and have Digged or Dug.
Dig Dugged. He is playing this very slowly.
He is,
Not really giving her a chance to get back into the game per se, but
but he's
he,
also not ending the game. I mean, there is a small chance that Katie is able to deal with Torrential Gearhulk, that Rasmus runs out of cards, and whatever threat Katie has left over is gonna win the game.
If she draws a
I,
land, we could even see like a Copter plus a Transgress. I doubt we will, but we could. Uh,
looks like Rasmus is having a little bit of trouble with the version 3 interface. But yeah, I just don't see how Katie comes back from this.
so putting Kalidas in the graveyard, that's kind of interesting.
Well, he just wants to flip search. That's his seventh card.
Oh, okay, I was under the impression he already had 7. That makes sense.
That's why he didn't dig, but again, I liked having dig in my graveyard. I would have contempt in my graveyard, and then I have a go. And then I have a threat on board that's killing my opponent in 4 turns. Whew, second Gear Hulk.
Yeah, there's no way she's coming back from this.
Yeah.
Maybe he was looking for the 8th land so he could play Gear Hulk and dig in the same turn. Okay, this is a really interesting draw because now she's able to go Warden in the first tree and then have Transgress back up.
Or Transgress first. Do you just let this resolve?
I mean, yeah, she's not really taking anything that I care too much about. If she takes dig, that's fine. I have 2 Gear Hulks. If she takes Disallow, that's fine. I have dig.
And if she takes a Gear Hulk, whatever. I don't like disallowing here. I don't know.
That,
then
it also makes him have to dig if he wants to answer the Smuggler's Copter. Which I guess he can still do with the Azcanta. But now his options are very limited what he can cast with dig.
again, this is just a to me it's just a very slow line of play, and where at this point in the game I just want to make my opponent dead. Give them as few draw steps as possible to get out of their mana screw.
So this is kind of coming back to bite him in the butt whenever we were talking about if he could just like close out the game very quickly. She'd already be down to 10 at this point, I think. Well, by his next turn at least. So he only tapped a single blue for that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna remind him.
I don't think it really matters.
No,
but
I don't think
I
it
mean,
does
you just do want to follow the rules, though.
Yeah, make sure everything's clean.
Because like he could get an opt or something like that where it would come into play.
There he goes. All right. Wait a minute. Now, yeah, okay, there he goes. Taps it again. All right. We figured it out.
So I guess he's looking for a fatal push here.
That's what I would be looking for. Fatal push and probably another removal spell of some sort.
If you let that Transgress resolve, you can kind of let this Warden resolve, then you can play a Gear Hulk, get rid of the Smuggler's Copter once it's crewed.
Yeah. And it gives you a Gear Hulk on board.
And then the Warden's not going to get big enough to get through the Gear Hulk.
But he chose to disallow instead. He has a negate, which is fine because it's probably Planeswalkers that you're most worried about at this point. And another
Scarab God.
So Katie's going to get in for 3, possibly find a land, hopefully find a land from her point of view.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if she didn't find a land here, just with how much she's drawn this game. And it's going to open up Gideon, which I doubt she'll play. I think she's probably going to want to bait out some of her worst cards.
I don't really think she has time to do that, though, given that we know Rasmus's hand, obviously. She doesn't know that, so she might go for that. But I think that just loses to the Gearhulks in hand, which is unfortunate. I really want her to find a way to come back, but I just don't think she can.
Alright, so what are you looting away here? Just a smuggler's copter?
Probably. I don't really want 2 of them.
I guess it also depends on what she draws up the loot.
That's gotta be rough, man. Still whiffed on the land.
I mean, she can still play 3 of her 4 cards in hand, though.
Yeah.
You know where this Abzan deck really starts to turn a corner as well, is whenever it starts playing 2 threats a turn.
Which is why she wants more land, though. She doesn't have the mana to do that, and
Right.
Rasmus just found a 3rd Gearhulk.
So it's
He
going
has
to be
access
near
to-
impossible for her to come back at this point
Yeah.
with 3 Gearhulks and a Scarab God.
He left Disallow, Fatal Push, and Contempt in his graveyard to go with the dig he just cast. So his graveyard's pretty full of stuff he can do.
You know, he's kind
I
of in
mean,
a tricky
Katie's-
spot.
Katie's drawing good cards, but I just don't think they matter.
I think I want to play one of my threats and let that get countered or something. Again with Smuggler's Copter again. Keep fishing for lands. Maybe that's wrong.
I think at this point, I would just Gearhulk for push and get rid of this copter.
Yep.
And sure, Katie will get to resolve something, but at this point, I'm just like, whatever. I have 2 more Gearhulks and a Scarab God.
Yeah, even if she resolves Gideon, then she can Gear Hulk, get rid of it with Vraska's Contempt.
Well, if Gideon resolves, there are no blockers. Gideon just dies.
Well, she can plus with a Gideon,
Oh, sure.
preventing damage.
Then the Gearhulk will be in play, yeah.
Okay, but theoretically, if that's this line of play, and she draws a land, and she goes Gideon 3, then Gideon 4, then he's kind of in a rough spot, although, I don't know.
I think being slow is almost biting Rasmus in the butt a little bit. Because he's not making Moosey dead, and she's getting lots of draw steps to potentially find a way out of this.
Yeah, I agree. As well as double draws with the Smuggler's Copter to loot.
Yeah.
I think what was for sure a win for Mussy is now turned into like he's probably going to win.
But there's a chance.
Maybe from like 95% to like 80?
85?
Yeah. I agree. So what did she get rid of? The Thalia?
Yeah, she looted Dahlia. I imagine we're going to see Raider Bob.
Maybe so. Maybe Anafinza, maybe Gideon.
Yeah. I think I would Raider Bob here, hope it resolves, even though it's probably not.
Yeah. Of course, she doesn't know how stacked his hand is. And this just has to resolve, right? He doesn't have any counter spells in the graveyard?
He has Disallow.
Okay. Still on the stack, so it looks like he is going to go for the counter.
I think I'm just going to snap off the Disallow here. Put a threat on board, swing for 5 next turn. Have another Gearhulk ready to go.
So what do you think was going on in Musty's head when he decided to play this slowly? What do you think he was playing around?
I'm not sure if it was him playing around anything necessarily, as just not understanding that the role had switched from him being the control deck to him being not the aggro deck, but
The
the I
beatdown
need to
deck.
kill my opponent deck. Yeah, and I think he didn't quite realize perhaps when the role switched, where he needed to make the aggressive move. I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily call it need, but just that
Should
he had the
have.
opportunity to, and he should have taken that opportunity while he had the opening. Interesting. He's going for contempt instead.
I agree with that, honestly. I'd rather counter his stuff like Gideon or something like that. But he is in a kind of a weird position now because now she's gonna play Gideon ally of Zendikar. I imagine at
Well,
least. Or no. This is her instep. My bad.
yeah, yeah,
This has taken such a long turn that I forgot whose turn it was.
yeah. And now he has a fatal push too. So he has Gear Hulk. He can cast a Gear Hulk to slow the Gideon and cast a fatal push to kill the copter.
Yeah, this has really worked out for him. He's had
Yeah,
incredibly good draws. Gear Hulk, Fatal Push as the last three.
and plenty of land too.
We were talking about needing to switch roles to the beatdown. I think that's one of the most overlooked things in Magic. I remember
Yeah, when you
Michael J. Flores has that article, Who's the Beatdown? And
mhm.
keeping that in mind has helped me so much in tempo matchups, control matchups, stuff like that. Just knowing, like, okay, I need to attack with at least one creature. I need to attack with this many creatures.
Yeah, need to start putting on the pressure, and I think he had a very good opportunity to do so without putting him at a disadvantage where he's leaving an opening for Katie to perhaps come into the game.
Okay, so we're going to see a Fatal Push now.
After the crew. And then I imagine Katie's going to attempt to Gideon, Gideon ally that is, and it's going to get disallowed, and that'll be the game.
Yeah, at that point, I don't think there's anything she can do to come back. Yep, Gideon. Gear Hulk disallow, swing for 10, put her to 5.
He's letting it resolve.
I don't know what he's doing here.
Is his plan Gear Hulk fatal push and then kill Gideon with a Gear Hulk? I suppose that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't slow down your clock at all.
No, because yeah, I think that's what he's going to do. I suppose that's fair, given that you have a third Gear Hulk.
The game will just be over in the next 2 turns anyway, so I guess this is fine.
Yeah, you're right though. Not changing the clock probably makes this better because it keeps up disallow for something potentially threatening, perhaps a removal spell for a Gear Hulk or something.
We could even see him play Scarab God next turn with Negate back up and then have Gear Hulk for the Anna Finzer or something once he plays that, or once she plays that.
Looks like he
Okay,
went for
so
dig through
went
time.
for Dig. Now I'm
I
a
don't
little more
know why he
confused.
needs that. I don't think he needs that. He really doesn't need that. I like push that allows you to kill Gideon for free and get in 5 points of damage. You're at a healthy 14. All Katie will have in play at that point is a Warden of the First Tree that has not been upgraded at all.
This has been a very confusing game for me. It did not
He
go
found
as
a
I
fatal
expected
push.
hardly at all.
Found Fatal Push land off the dig. But yeah, I think Rasmus has just been too cautious.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's still going to work out for him,
Yeah, but
but he's given her so many chances to come back. Not necessarily come back, but to keep fighting.
right.
So I kind of wonder if he's going to play Fatal Push main phase, kill the knight, uh, attack one Gear Hulk Gideon, one
Yeah,
at her face, then play like Scarab God with a negate back up, or just hold up Gear Hulk.
I like holding up Gear Hulk because with the land you can hold up Gear Hulk and have a negate. Oh no, because you're fatal pushing. Never mind. But I do definitely want him to fatal push. I think otherwise you're wasting 5 points of damage when she's on 15, where 5 points is a third of the life total. I would not want to waste points of damage.
Another dig through
Well, the
time.
way he's playing, I think he's just going to double swing at Gideon.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're going to see. So we're just going to see this Knight Ally just ignore this. She's going to have two more creatures. Or two creatures on the battlefield.
And gained 5 life. Because he didn't get in for 5 points of damage.
If she had like an Abzan charm or something, that could be like very punishing for him. Like obviously
Right.
he has a negate backup, but so if we're seeing a fatal push here, now I'm just really confused with that play. Okay,
But it
no,
looks
we're
like
not.
we're seeing Scarab God.
Okay. Sure, get another threat down, that's fine.
Notably cannot dig through time here. Does have fatal push and negate. Also notable, Katie did not play her concealed courtyard last turn,
Mm-hmm.
which with this land off the top meant she could have played both of her 3 drops, but now she can't. And she's calling it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's going to be too hard to come back, but
Yeah. I think not playing the land there was particularly punishing given that she found a 6th land off the top.
alright, so we did see a 3-game sweep. Blue-black taking it over Abzan. Rasmus is going to move on to the finals, play against Thraben Inspector, who's on... I
But Tucker
think,
red.
I think he's even splashing black. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, is he on the Darker Tucker version, which is, I believe, slashing Driven to Despair?
I think so. I think he's
Driven
on...
to Despair seems particularly spicy against blue-black control.
Yeah, I think his best chance was to play against Mussy in the finals, and he's going to get that. I think Mussy's still probably favored overall.
3 main deck Languish will go a long way, plus the sideboard Gifted Aetherborn.
But yeah, this next match is going to decide who's going to be the winner of the Untap Open League Season 2.
Looking forward to it.
Alright, and remember to find us at Twitter at MTG Frontier. You can find us here on Twitch, MTG_final_Frontier. And on YouTube at Magic the Final Frontier. Any thoughts, Clayton?
I think that matchup went about as expected, where, especially since Katie was not able to get an aggressive start really in any of her games, she just fell way behind and didn't have any way to come back into it because blue-black control puts out a lot of card advantage and then just has inevitability between Gearhulk, Dig, and Azcanta.
Alright, well this next match is going to be really exciting to find the winner. I'm Taylor, that was Clayton. Thanks for joining us here at the Untap Open League.